All right. Hi, everyone. Hello, beautiful souls, beautiful beings. So, today, sorry for the noise. I've got my notes here because I want to talk to you today about my spiritual awakening. And it's a story that's been asked to me. A lot of people are asking to me to tell them how my spiritual awakening started, how it happened, what are the changes that it brought to my life, and also the transformation that happened at that time. So I want to share that with you today in Magical Story. And it's really exciting because it's a story I love to share, and it's a story I love to tell, and it's really full on with details and stuff like this. So that's why I've got a few notes here, because I don't want to forget anything. Because one of the things that's important to say is that my spiritual awakening didn't happen in one day. It was not on a specific date, at a specific time, at a specific hour. Sometimes I feel that people are expecting a spiritual awakening to be like happening, and it's a massive thing. It's like a complete realization, and in a way it is, but it's a process, and it's a lot of things, a lot of synchronicities that are that brought me to where I am now, and to awakening spiritually to the fact that I'm a soul having a life on this earth as a human being, and to realize that we are all connected, we are all one, and we have this connection to higher self, higher consciousness, but also to universal consciousness. So I want to dive in straight away because it's a long story. So it all started for me in 2014, and again, it didn't happen in one day, but 2014 was a major transformational year for me. Lots of things happened, but the reason for that is because I had just graduated. I had graduated from my master's in marketing and business, and at the time the plan was to live to London in order to just find a job in marketing, have a career, and in this field, and just do that. I was really excited about this because all of what I do it with excitement, with passion. I try to really be passionate about the things that I start in my life and that I create in my life, and so that was the plan. But as soon as I arrived in London, everything kind of changed, because where to start? Well, first of all, I was away from family. So I was away from friends as well. And I was away from expectations and from, people expecting me to be a certain way, to do certain things, to check certain boxes. And so that was the occasion, the opportunity for me to explore, and to explore new things, and to explore things that were not, considered as normal or a go-to in my family or in my environment. And so it was great because I could try out these things, and some of them were yoga, some of them were meditation, and I went to start a course in Ashtanga yoga, which I was passionate about quite quickly. It was very powerful, it was very physical as well, and because I had a very active mind at the time, it was a great way for me to start meditating, but actively, because it was really neutralizing my mind. And from that, I found that I was developing more calm and quiet within, and it was great. And I was getting in touch with who I really am. And so that was one of the first steps. But also one thing that I explored was Buddhist meditation. There was this Buddhist center not too far from where I was living, and it was a great center, super beautiful, super. I loved it, and I really loved the community that was going there as well. And it was a great way to learn this type of meditation, because they were really guiding you into just exploring what it was, and taking some time for yourself, out of the crazy busyness of London, and really just calming everything down and quieting your mind. And it was a great experience. So that's the two things that I started with. And then I started to explore, notions around the law of attraction that kind of happened to come into my life. I wouldn't say by chance, because it's all about synchronicities and what you manifest, but it really just came into my life in a really funny way. And all of these things were just accumulating, and so I started to really feel that a transformation was coming, because of all these synchronicities that were pushing me to explore deeply who I was, and to understand myself on a deeper level, and just not through the filters that society is trying to put us, all these boxes that you're supposed to check, like religion, like politics, like sexuality, anything that society wants you to have a clear answer to. And so just having this freedom of being whoever I wanted to be, and to explore that, and to let myself the time as well to explore that, was a great step forward towards my spiritual awakening. Also, an important step during this time and this London life was that actually, just before arriving in the plane, I met this girl who was clairvoyant. And she didn't say that to me straight away. That's not really how we started the conversation. And I think that it's not really the first thing you would say to somebody. But we became really friends. And, through our conversations, she started to know me, to know where I was going, what I wanted to do, what were my dreams and expectations from, this new life. And one day she told me that she was seeing other things for me. And, she asked me if I was open to know what she was seeing for me. And so lots of the things that she was seeing at the time was around writing, and writing my truth, and supporting people with my writing, which was one of my secret dream, I would say. And so at that time, I really reconnected to this, and it was a really important step for me, because I started to write, and I started to write my story, and I started to connect with people through writing. I had a blog at the time, and it was a great experience. And it's also something that allowed me to work in that field later on, when I decided to quit marketing. But that's a little bit further along the way. So after this first month, I'd say that everything was really different for me, because I started to realize that marketing was not the best place for me. I started to realize that I didn't really like it. I liked the strategic side of it. I liked, the reflective side of it, but working in the marketing field, it's really competitive. It's there are a lot of sharks, not all of them, but there are a lot of them. And so it was really difficult for me, because it was not really my nature. It's not how I want to live my life. And so as soon as I started to awaken to other things, it was very clear to me that marketing was not really aligned, and the marketing world was not really aligned with who I was and who I am. And so I started to look into other things that I could do. And one of the things that I found was that because of my marketing background, I could offer my services to companies for their blogs to write content. And it was an amazing time because it allowed me to be location free and to travel. And that was one of my goals. But so let me just check if I'm not forgetting anything. So yes, yoga was really, and Ashtanga yoga especially, was really the first step in my life. But one of the things that I really reconnected to at the time living in London was my psychic and mediumship skills. It's always been there. The first experience I had was when I was 2 years old. And when I was 2 years old, I was seeing these three um, heads in front of me every night when I was going to sleep. And they were really threatening. I was really afraid. And so, I was calling my mom, and my mom would say, "Oh, don't worry, it's a dream. And I remember very clearly that I didn't have the vocabulary to express that I was not sleeping, to express and say to my mom, it cannot be a dream because I was not sleeping, which makes sense because I was just 2 years old. And so, you know, I got conditioned, as many of us do. And so I got conditioned not to see them anymore. And so for a long, 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 long time, I just forgot about it. I forgot about it, but it came back when I was 18. I was living on my own and in the south of France. So again, away from family. And it started to come back. I started to see things. I started to feel things. I'm very, very clairsentient. So I often feel way more than what I see. And I started to ask myself a lot of questions at the time because it was going against my beliefs, which were that I was an atheist. I have been brought up with atheist values. So life after death is not something that I was really believing in. So it was something that was like I had a weird phenomenon within me happening because I could see this and I was believing that what I was seeing and experiencing was true. But at the same time, I would not really properly acknowledge it as being true, if that makes sense. And so fast forward to London a few years later after that, and I start to experience crazy things in London. I start to have a lot of contact with spirits that are within the houses I go to, or Highgate Cemetery that I had decided to visit. All these different places, and I really felt they were willing to get in touch with me, but I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to establish a contact, how to communicate with them. And so it was really doubting. It was really frightening as well sometimes, because it can some of the things that happened to me at the time were not super pleasant, but I didn't know how to deal with it. So one of my first reflex, because I could not find like a mentor or something, or someone who could help me develop this at the time, so I just decided that I would train to protect myself. And that's when Reiki arrived in my life. So I had a few distant Reiki healing with somebody. And at the time it was because I had a nasty cystitis that would not let me alone and would not let me live comfortably my life. And so it was kind of like a desperate thing that I was willing to try because I wanted to feel better. And I had either the option of going back home in France to see my doctor and try to solve my cystitis, and it was more than £300 to just for the going there and coming back, or I could try this thing that my mom introduced to me. She was herself seeing this Reiki master, and she said, well, I told him about you, and he said he can heal you, so do you want to try? So I was like, yeah, let's do this. I was so desperate. I didn't really believe in it, but I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try, because I need to try something. And I tried, and it healed me. So it had been a month since I had cystitis, 3 course of antibiotics, nothing was working. And I did that for 3 days, and that was it. That was it. I didn't have anything anymore. So I was like, that's good. Really interested to know more about Reiki. If that can heal this, well, that's an amazing option for anything, really. And so I decided that I would meet this Reiki master. And as soon as I met him in France, I decided to train. And so that's how I started my Reiki journey. And I trained only for the first level first in 2016, and it was a major step in my spiritual awakening. And the reason why it was a major step was because it gave me the confidence that I could protect myself. And so it gave me also a way of connecting to source and connecting to higher self, higher consciousness. And so I started through Reiki to actually do automatic writing. And so automatic writing was really what helped me to develop my psychic and my medium abilities more than psychic abilities. So I was really developing my ability to channel spirit, to channel whoever had a message to give me. And at first it was not working really well. It took me probably around a year, and I think that with guidance you can, seriously, when you are guided on this path, you can really go way quicker than what I experienced. But I think that I needed to learn patience, and this was a big lesson that I had to learn on my spiritual path as well, patience. So I think that's why it took me so long. But so after a year of this and a year of being back to France as well, I decided to travel again. And that's when I decided to go to India to train really in Kundalini Yoga, because between the moment I started Ashtanga Yoga and the moment I went to India, I actually discovered Kundalini Yoga. And for me, it was a no-brainer. I felt that Kundalini Yoga was incredible to release trauma. It's incredible to release pain, to release stress, anxiety, but also to reach your full potential and to empower yourself. And so when I experienced this as a student, I really wanted to be able to learn it so that I could do my daily routine and know what I was doing. So, at first it was not at all to teach that I learned Kundalini Yoga. And actually, when I went to India, I learned something else. I learned Iyengar Yoga, a therapeutic version of it. It was an amazing training, especially because it gave me keys to teach to people who have injuries and back injuries, because I have a back injury. So, I needed this to really learn how to deal with my back. And so now to deal with your back and teach you properly how to deal with it. But yeah, when I was in India, that's when really everything turned took a complete different turn, because that's when I was able to really harness my skills. And so I was channeling every single day. I was healing as well, people around me who were doing the training with me. And all of that because it was so challenging mentally, physically, spiritually. It was a silent retreat where we were learning at the same time, and we were doing like maybe 8 hours of yoga, meditation, and stuff per day. And it was, oh my God, such an incredible experience, such a transformational experience. And for me, what came out of this, more than the yoga in itself, was just, the physical practice of yoga, was really the connection with my true self, with my soul. And so that's when things started to become clearer and clearer of what I wanted to manifest in this life. It was pretty clear for me from the moment I awakened that I wanted to serve people, I wanted to help and heal people in general, but also our society and humanity in general, to raise our vibrations. It was pretty clear that I wanted to contribute to this, but I didn't know yet how to do that. And it's through my own healing, through my own experience, that I was able to discover, what was my mission, my purpose, and how I wanted to help people with that. So I know it's a lot of things, and I want to go back a little to my notes and to what I had initially planned to tell you about. So let me check what I had planned. Yeah. One of the things that was really major for me when I awakened spiritually, it really blown my mind away, because seriously, I was atheist, and it was really deeply anchored in my belief system. And so being spiritually awakened was the complete opposite of this, and the complete opposite of the reality that I had built for myself. And so that's why the step-by-step process was really needed for me. And that's why I needed all the synchronicities that happened in my life to be able to actually believe in this, and in what was happening to me. And really, it's only through the experience of the different things that I was learning and reading, and that I was able to believe in it. It's only when I experienced physically something that I think was the highlight of my spiritual awakening, that I could believe in it, and that I could actually change and transform. And so what I'm talking about is a very, very special day in my heart. I was going to work. This work was not a great work. I was not enjoying it particularly, but it's a great work because it allowed me to learn English. So that's that's what mattered at the time. And so I was going to work, but all of these things were going on in the background: yoga, meditation, law of attraction, cosmic energy, all these things, and which were completely shifting my life. And I had realized at that time that one of the things that I needed to do was to serve people, and to serve people so that they could experience the same thing that I was experiencing. They could find their truth. They could find who they were. They could be free to do so, feel free and empowered to do so. And when I really I remember I was speaking to myself whilst walking to work, and I said, okay, I accept that this is my purpose and this is my mission. And as soon as I was done saying this, I just had this physical experience of as if all of my cells were turning to the sun, and that I was receiving this warm, sunny light. And this was incredible, because during a week after this, I was seeing reality completely differently. I was seeing the connection that there is between each and every one of us. I was seeing everyone so, like, in such a beautiful light. I found at the time, and it lasted around a week, everybody was beautiful, and I was like walking like this in the street, completely in love and in true joy of what I was experiencing. And so that was a major, major change for me, because from that moment on, that's when I started to really take action towards a different way of life. And so that's when I understood that marketing was a no-go. I still worked in marketing afterwards, because I needed a little bit of time to figure out how I was going to do things and what I was going to do. But I knew that it would not last forever. And I started to explore what I wanted to do in order to help people and to serve people. And I wanted to explore myself also further. Uh, so that's when I went back to France, started Reiki, and started my journey, and then just decided to travel more, to discover more, and to train as well more. And one of the things also that was really, it's kind of funny because it really happened at the same time. Two things happened at the same time, actually, that were really weird. The first thing is that as soon as I moved in London, I stopped eating meat. And the reason why I did was that I didn't find it appealing in the different stores that I was shopping into. So it was more like a practical thing. But then actually going further in discovering yoga and meditation and so on, I really think that it helped me to be lighter, to be clearer, and to connect to these higher realms more easily. So it's something that happened on its own, kind of like at the same time, synchronicity again, but it was not planned, is what I mean. But it really was at the right time and meant to be. And the second thing that happened at the same time as my spiritual awakening was that instead of using my first name, which is Adeline, I started to use my middle name, which is Isa. And I really do believe that my spiritual name is Isa. And so that's why it's the one I use in what I do, because all of what I do is spiritual. And I want, to be identified as Isa in what I do. But it was really funny how it happened, because it was, again, not planned at all. I had never used Isa before, but it was just how I felt and how it felt right. So that's really how I came to understand that it was really my spiritual experience that I was incarnating through this name. So yeah, I want to kind of like finish this story of my spiritual awakening by telling you a little bit about how, it manifested in my life. So when I started to train and when I started to heal people through Reiki, I really wanted to train more and to be able to have more knowledge, more skills to develop this. And so that's why as soon as I came back in the UK, I decided to train in Reiki, to have, the practitioner level, which is the level 2, and then the master level, which is the level 3, so that you can teach, and you are a master level, so you learn different things like distant healing and some of the signs that you are using. But it's also when I decided to train in Kundalini yoga. And so I did a year-long training, and it was an amazing experience, which really supported me to understand more and more truth, because it's a never ending process, when you start and when you start your journey. I know that was my case. I thought that, at some point I would have an illumination of who I was, and it was going to be something that was, definite, that would not change. And you just come to understand through your experiences along your path, that actually it's a never-ending reality, and you are always evolving, transforming, changing, and discovering more and more truth. And so part of what really helped me doing this was this Kundalini yoga teacher training, which was, a year long, which allowed me to really take it step by step, and to practice every day, and to experience it. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about teaching, it's about knowing what it does, experiencing it on such a deep level that you can guide other people to do the same, to have the same experience. And so also, that's what, when I started doing this, that's what really allowed me to master my psychic and mediumship skills, because it cleared the path, it cleared the bridge, it cleared the communication, and because it's something that has always been here, I was just allowed to reconnect to it very easily. And so I've always been very, very, very tuned into what I feel. So I'm very, very clairsentient. I've always been as well an empath, a psychic. So, I've always been extremely sensitive. But one of the things that I really developed through my Kundalini yoga practice was the channel through claircognizance. And so just channeling messages instead of writing them with automatic writing, and also knowing how to protect myself, how to align myself, how to clear myself, and that's been an incredible experience so far. And I know that so much is coming, because it's, again, never ending. So I just want to check if I haven't forgotten anything, because it's such a rich story, isn't it? That, there are so many details that I haven't even talked to you about, because, oh my God, so much has happened. Because, sometimes for you to understand something and to start something, start taking action, you need so many synchronicities. You need so many signs. Like, I remember one day, one of my guides who I was channeling was telling me, how many times do you want us to say the same thing? Like, you're going to receive the same message over and over again until you actually start to take action. And so that was a nice, funny reminder that, if something feels right, and when something feels right, it's often really joyful. Take action, do something, and don't hesitate too long. So yeah, a few books that I want to recommend, because they've been really helpful on my own path, in my own experience. One is The Wheel of Life by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. It was actually the first thing ever that was on my path, and that really opened this possibility of life after death. And it's a book written by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who was a doctor. So it was really, for me, who was very about atheism and scientific and everything needed to be proven and all of that. For me, it was a great door for spirituality and to open myself to spirituality, because it was a doctor. So, there is not anything more scientific than a doctor. At the time, that's what I thought. And so that she believed in life after death, I was like, oh, okay, then. So maybe the spirits I'm seeing are actually, true and real. So it was a very interesting first step. So that's something that I would recommend anyone. And that's also something that I would recommend anyone who needs to deal with grief. It's a great book for that. Also, Cosmic Energy by Joseph Murphy. Really loved it. The Law of Attraction book, The Secret, the film and all of this. I think it's a brilliant first step as well. First step, I insist on this because on its own, I don't think it's enough, but it's a brilliant first step. For women, I think, and actually for men who want to understand women better, Wild Feminine by Tammy Lynn Kent is a great book, as well as Loving What Is by Katie Byron. These are my top books, really, to just help you in your self-development and help you do a few first steps on your spiritual path when you are just awakening to it. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Please, if you have any questions, if you want to react to this, if you want to tell me that you liked it, if you want to know more, please do tell me, because I'm always willing to give you what you need, what you want, what can support you. And I hope you enjoyed this spiritual awakening, magical story. It was really enjoyable for me. So I will see you soon. Lots of love, lots of magic to your hearts, to your homes. Have a great day.